Welcome to Meltano Office Hours. Today is May 22nd. We do this every 2 weeks. This is where we discuss new features, the roadmap. We also do community spotlights. So if you want to share how you use Meltano or something you built with Singer SDK or Meltano, this is a place to share. We have some folks from the Meltano team here. We have our CEO, Aaron. Would you like to do a round of short introductions, rather? We could start with you, Aaron.
Well, yeah, I'm very happy to say hi and great to be on the call. I think there's a couple of newbies. So it's probably worth having the intros of the guys who've not joined before, and maybe some of the old guys. You don't mind, Derek? That's say hi, Derek.
Do you want me first? I guess I'll do first. I'm Derek with Auto IDM. Been around Meltano for a few years. I think, man, was it 2020 or 21? I don't remember.
I mean, as a company, 2021, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it feels like 2020 to me for some reason, but I guess it's 21. So yeah, I've been around, been doing Meltano. It's great. So having fun, still chugging along. All our things are still running. So, thanks for keeping it going.
We also have Kyle here. I don't think you've been in the call before. Hours?
I think I've probably been hovering in the background, but I'm Kyle. I'm the new CRO of Meltano. So everything on the operations, sales, sell more software, or the less open source side is my world.
Nice. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Hey, thanks, Edgar. Hey, guys. I'm Emmanuel. I do product design and product management at Meltano. So whatever features that you guys want on Meltano is probably coming my way, and I get the team to align to it and work on it. So
yeah. Thanks, Ruben.
Hey, I've been here a couple of times. Ruben, software that I've Meltano. I've also been here for many years. You've probably seen me on some of these calls before. I'm happy to get stuck into the discussion.
Cool. And we also have someone from the community. Harsh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Cool. Okay. So I think before jumping into Harsh's presentation, we want to do a brief discussion, right? Yeah, around security. Ruben has some context about this. Would you like to?
Yeah. So we just decided to have a quick chat before the community spotlight about security this week, off the back of a vulnerability that was raised to us. Little disclaimer: if you spot anything, if you spot a vulnerability, or if you're the kind of person who's looking into those kind of things, you can reach out to us on security@meltano.com. That's how the communication was started in this case. So yeah, feel free to post there. We can start the conversation. So a vulnerability was brought to our attention around write access to Meltano Hub. We have since raised a GitHub security advisory and requested a CVE due to the implications of that. Some detail here. Basically, the crux of the issue was we're using a particularly vulnerable. So we're using GitHub Actions to do all sorts of things in Meltano Hub. One was using this pull request target type, which is notorious all over the place for having problems and security implications. In this case, it allowed the security researcher to do a command injection to pull out secrets, including the GitHub token, which gave write access to Meltano Hub. And because we deploy Meltano Hub on push to main, they could just push to main or a PR, and then there's no branch protection, right?
No, I don't think so. And I was going to say something about this. Yeah, it allowed you to basically change arbitrary details of plugins and get them deployed to the Meltano Hub API. So the attacker could inject a different pip URL with a malicious package there.
Yeah.
So and then it's probably worth saying that this was a stack of vulnerabilities. Pull request target itself has some issues. Then we also were using workflow variables in an insecure way that allowed someone to inject things into a shell command, and that allowed them to run arbitrary commands, then get access to the token. And because it was a pull request target, it had our token. So
yeah. Just a little note on pull request target. Prior to this incident, I thought that pull request target was able to be mitigated somewhat in what you could do with it by setting the repository to require approval for all external contributors. So the maintainer, i.e. us, would have to approve the workflow run regardless. But that is not the case with pull request target, and it will just run always in the context of the source repo in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. But that is fixed. So call out to if you're using request target, be on the lookout and probably stop using it if you can. It's not always possible to replace it, but if you can, just start using it.
And yeah, feel free to check out the security advisory on Meltano Hub repo. I don't know if it's possible to share links here, but I've linked it in the presentation anyway. If you want to copy it out, paste it in the comment. There's some discussion, and all credit to the guy who posted it as well. He's quoted in the security advisory.
Yeah, absolutely. And with AI, I think we're going to see more and more both vulnerability reports and people exploiting those. So yeah, be on the lookout for sure. Like I said, avoid use of pull request target if you can. We certainly are working on cleaning up our workflows across Meltano and Meltano Labs. I don't think we're using it in a vulnerable way anywhere else, but yeah. Also, Sysmore, this is a tool for static analysis of GitHub Actions. It's a static analysis, but it can also if you give it your GitHub token, it can discover more things about your workflow setup and if you're using things insecurely. So if you can give it a try. We're already shipping the new SDK cookie cutter template for tab targets with a Sysmore check. So if you build a tab today, it will come with this new checks. Yeah. And for the future, would you like to talk about pinning plugin versions, Ruben? We've talked about this in previous office hours.
I think it would be good to just have all plugins on the hub pinned to some version so they aren't vulnerable to like a supply chain attack from that sort of vector. I was gonna say like the best mechanism to prevent this is probably to rely on something like PyPI, which is like immutable, right? Or immutable GitHub releases. If you just do git tags, I think there was a vulnerability in some other open source project recently that all the tags got force pushed and overwritten. So I'm not sure that is like a super safe way of doing it. I know in the past we've pushed like tags, versions tags as references plugins, but in theory those can be overwritten. So like with some of like the GitHub Actions dependencies, because that was also susceptible to some vulnerability recently that caused everyone to start pinning them to like the commit char. Maybe we do that. Certainly be nice for us like to see like a nice readable version there.
Yeah. It would be nice to see a real version. Maybe a mechanism in Meltano itself to like lock dependencies, which we also discussed a few times.
Yeah,
might be a good solution for that. You could get just the raw Git URL or a tag, and then under the hood you actually are pulling and have a stable reference to a share. Yeah. So we're working on those.
Just one more thing to mention that might be interesting to anyone listening. GitHub themselves had a leaked credential from a developer, as far as I understand, and that means every single repository was compromised in theory. So not great times for GitHub.
It's not great times for anyone generally, actually. Just I think the admin of like Claude Mythos and other like advanced LLMs is just going to pose a bunch of security issues across multiple different systems. So just going to be on it.
Yeah. I think this was a developer at GitHub with access to private repos. I think he installed a vulnerable VS Code extension, and that was it. I think I've seen that's one vector of attack. Like you manage to get a vulnerable tool in a developer's workflow, and then you have access to his like tokens for PyPI or npm, and then from there you can like push nefarious stuff as if you were the developer. So it's very hard to detect. Yeah, Derek, you mentioned Meltano lock to pin to a chat. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Harsh. I think Harsh is gonna give us a presentation about like what he's been doing with Meltano and I think the Singer SDK. So yeah.
Yeah.
Up to you, Harsh.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So let me share. So the session is all about like how I have built a custom singer that is on the SafetyCulture that is from our client. So let me first give an introduction about me. Hi everyone, I am Harsh Mer and I'm a data engineer at XLR Infotec. Basically an AI data engineer. So like I work with data at the data engineering team. So it's a position of AI data engineer now. So and also I am a GDG organizer, Google Developer Group organizer in Rajkot, India. And so like I speak mainly about AI automation and the data engineering things. I focuses on the clouds mainly. So yeah. the project was like about in our office that we were doing. So one of our client, he is from a SafetyCulture. If you maybe you know, it is a big like manufacturing industry, but it is very famous. Like the SafetyCulture is like you can say software. There you can just like a Google form, you can fill the things. So like there are lots of forms that the company is filling. Suppose there is an Harley Davidson company, they have a manufacturing unit and they are daily filling some things like the manager filling this, these things are done and these things are pending on the form and the all records have been listed. And there are some action items that can be a user, that can be an issues and many things in the forms. So like they want to that data into that Snowflake. But currently for the demo, I cannot show the enterprise solution. So I have built another solution that is from the Meltano MSDK REST API. So yeah, the problem statement was there are 70 plus thousand organizations that is using SafetyCulture and not getting the data that they want, and then we have built a custom single tab, and then they want to do some analytical process. And so, yeah, why we use Meltano and Singer? It is an open standard Singer tab, and then this schema we don't have to define. It will be automatically defined, and the like records and columns that will be automatically added if there isn't any like issue sometimes that can be happen. So CLI first, ELT, like I like most of the cloud things, so that I like most of the CLI things. So so it is a basically a YAML file that why that is very simple and the no code tabs and the state management incremental loading that is very simple with using a Meltano. So yeah, that's why we use. Then the pipeline architecture was something like an SafetyCulture REST API. We use SafetyCulture REST API, but in the production, we have built a custom Singer that I cannot show here, but I will try to replicate it similar and will open source and share it in the Slack so everyone can use that. Then we have used the Supabase currently here to load the data. So yeah, the connect was connector configuring configuration was this, and the metadata and everything will be auto defined and like it can be automatically added into the like database. So it is very simple to use the Meltano YAML. So yeah, this is the stream design that we have used, like audit search. It's an item that I have told like this things needs to be and done to this person by this date or something that you can assign on the rack. And it is mainly used in manufacturing sectors. There are some issues that can be listed. There are some users. There are some sites that they have met. So we have used the incremental load for audit search actions and issues. I'm going a little faster right now. Orchestration with the ren.py that I have made currently. It is a very simple code. Let me show the code also, though you can understand. So yeah, uh, we have written the plain for the Meltano.yaml file. For the custom connector, we have used the Singer apps and all. But for now, the things that I have used is only the tape REST API, MSD, and the target as a Postgres. So yeah, the code was very simple. It is first time in our office or like in our enterprise that we have used Meltano, and I got the chance and I got the opportunity to work with Meltano. How like I got to know about Meltano, I learned the Meltano, and then I have built production solutions. It is like a very good experience for that, and the client was very happy. He was in based in UK, Australia.
Harsh, am I right in understanding that this, your Meltano YAML, your setup, you built with Claude? Like, so your actual knowing nothing to something running was very much powered by AI.
Yeah, so mainly I have written the code here in the like Claude because the production solution already built it. So I just get that as a like section and then replicate here. So I don't again need to be build the things again. And I got some issues as well when I was first time using this like setup tools and all in the Windows. I got some error. Then we have deployed on the Linux, so it was not then issue. But for the practical time, we got into some issues.
So at the time you were developing this, you ran into the unpinned setup tools issue.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I got into some issues, and then we tried to solve it and like and changing the version, it then it will be solved very easily. So like the problem I also got currently was for like IPv6 address. Then I have switched to IPv4 into my like PostgreSQL, and then I solved the issue that. And yeah, that is I have like built like this much amount of time that it taken to add this. So it will be very easy to use the Meltano for the incremental load and like generally as an EL.
So that's the runtime. How long did it take you to go from thinking about a solution to having a running solution using Claude?
Using Claude, it was taking me around 30-40 minutes because I have an idea. I have already built custom singer, so I know the Meltano now. Then it will take me around like writing a prompt. It will take me around some minutes, and then I jump into like prompting it and saying what I want to build and all. Then it takes me around like 30-40 minutes or something.
So let me just play it back to you. So you knew a little bit about Singer.
Yeah.
You obviously had Claude. You
Yeah.
knew a little bit about Meltano. And then he sat down with a new requirement to call an API. And 40 minutes later, you had a running solution. Is that right?
Yeah, so I know about the Meltano, I know about the customer singer. Then it's take very less time to build a new solution. Like it is very easy to build a new solution with the Claude, and if you know the things and how to prompt the agent.
Awesome. I do have a question. Now that you tried the tap REST API and SDK generic tap, and you also previously built a custom tap for this API, what are the biggest gaps in tap REST API, but also things that in the Singer SDK that would have helped you like when you were implementing your custom tap? So what are the gaps in tap REST API that leads you to create a custom?
Build a custom.
Yeah, and what things do you think are missing in the tap framework, I guess?
So yeah, so basically the project requirement was like something with the custom man. They have used the Meltano previously, so they know about how to create a tabs and all. They know how to, but they don't code much. So they told us to like build a solution and something like this. They know. And then I have first approached them to just use the like REST API, and we built the solution. But then we got into some issues as well. Sometimes the server from the client side was not issuing on that. Then we tried to build a custom singer so that we can like also give it to them, and they can use in the future as well. And they don't have to depend on the REST API. And we also give them the like teaching on how they can build a custom singer for other if they want. Maybe they will not make, but because they are not much technical, but
Yeah.
they got to know about how the tabs and how they can make the singer. The team
Gotcha.
was
Yeah, previous experience building other tabs is probably would probably lead me personally to just develop another custom tab instead of using a tap REST API. Does anyone else have questions or comments for Harsh?
I think this kind of aligns with my expectation of like people generally come in and like try tap REST API out, which is a community plugin, right? It's not like a Meltano supported thing at the
Correct.
moment, but it could be. I think it is quite valuable that there is that kind of like prototyping capability that people can just try this plugin and see how it like fits into like the Meltano Singer world, and then go off and make a custom tab if it doesn't quite fit their needs, or they want to enhance it in some way, like more specific error handling to handle the quirks of like that specific API or something else. But is that kind of what you bumped into, Harsh, and that it was good to prototype with REST API and then you kind of went on to build a custom tab after that?
Yeah, it was like after that the experience was very smooth. Like I can just write the YAML, I can use everything very defined.
Yeah. Did you use AI and Claude to help you configure REST API as well? I'm curious, like, was it easier for you to set up the integration with the tap REST API MSDK, or build the custom tap? Given that I think there's like probably vastly different levels of like available documentation between them, and that we've got loads of SDK documentation. There's like one README for tap REST API.
So we firstly use the REST API. At that time, we are not using the Claude. We are just using the basic REST API and we build the YAML and all. Then when we got to know about that we can build the custom tab, so then we use the Claude, ask them how we can build. Then we also learn how we can build, and then we prompted it to build something like this. Then giving it prompting, and learning something, and then we built successfully a tab for the safety culture. So yeah, the custom tab was really helpful for us.
How much back and forth iteration was there? I think this is maybe sort of what Aaron was asking. Like how long? Well, his
They-
question was more like how long did it take you to get like a working implementation?
because
Generally,
I
through that.
because I have not used the Meltano before, so it was mainly back and forth for me because I have less usage the tool. But it was taking around 2 to 3 days, and then we got to know how we can build, and then we build into 3 4 hours.
Okay.
Because it was not a continuous project for me as well, so I have on the different.
Cool. I'm curious about at what point did you introduce Claude to the project? So, for example, there's a cookie cutter template for building a tab, and I'm curious if you first created the project from the cookie cutter and then pointed Claude at that, or you started from scratch, just told Claude, "Hey, create me a Singer tab." What it was like?
So first we have built through a REST API, and then we gave it to again like read the files. You have this tab REST API. We want to build something similar for the custom tab, and I gave the information about safety culture. I want to make the tab for this, and then back and forth by giving a back and forth something. We got into one plan how we can build the solution, and then we implemented that and build the solution.
I think Egg was asking, did you start with Claude or did you start trying to do it manually? At what point did Claude come into your development of that tab?
Yeah, after the REST API we have tried, I don't know about how I can build the custom tab. Then I just open at the Claude and asking them how I can build the solution.
Okay.
Okay.
So in my experience, it does it runs the cookie cutter like scaffolding steps for you, as far as I've seen, or can do that.
It can do that, yeah. Yes, I'm curious because it depends on the context that Claude has. That it may use the cookie cutter, or it may just try to search Google or whatever for the documentation and just implement it from scratch. Yeah, I don't know. It depends how on the context you give it, I guess. So I'm curious where we should focus our efforts, like whether on the cookie cutter, on the agent instructions, on our like. There's this LLMs.txt thing that agents may be good at looking for in web-based documentation. So I'm just curious. I'm trying to like ponder where we should focus our efforts.
Definitely leaning towards the Claude skills. Some kind of predefined. You want to do a thing. It's an interesting problem because then you've got to know about the skill to put the skill in.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a chicken and egg problem.
There's a couple of directories like hub type things. Even Taylor's got something in Astronomo with kind of skills repository and so on. I wonder what do you? You use Claude. How do you use Claude? Do you sort of more skills, or are you more like how are you giving it context to do things?
Depends on what we're doing. I tend to have some global skills that help with a lot of things, but I don't know. We'll see. Claude might not be the thing I use in like 3 months. So.
Sure, yeah, it could be the other one.
Yeah.
We've been through a couple of iterations of others already. I mean, we've used Codex a bit, and then we've got onto Claude.
Yeah, I think I was looking at Cursor was like what I used all of like last year. I think even in Cursor, I changed. I was using every 3 months. So I don't know. I think for this kind of thing, it's like, how do you can have like a bundle of skills, like Meltano skills, and then maybe SEO it really good. So then hopefully it gets found by someone like Harsh who's out there. But like, I don't know. It feels like a pretty moving target.
What about even adding them as like a files plugin so they just arrive in your Meltano project and now you're capable of doing development in it?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting because you're probably going to be in a Meltano project most of the time, but that might work. Like, it seems a little sketchy, but like,
yeah.
when Meltano runs, you just constantly make sure that you pull down a Claude file or something from Meltano just to help Ubis with the standard stuff. I mean, it would
Yeah.
work, like a Claude or agents file, whatever.
I'm definitely
Yeah,
super interested in like the overall journey of like someone knowing nothing to getting something done. And this feels a little bit like that, like a step on the website that you add this thing and the skills arrive. I think there's other parts that I'm kind of like obsessed with, like the actual getting credentials, like getting something set up is like massively time consuming, but completely obscure. Actually getting someone in the organization to give you a credential can be like really tedious and time consuming. Setting up production environments, obviously we would say that with our cloud and somewhere to run them, but there's like a whole like duration problem for like the challenge rather than necessarily just one little connector.
Yeah, it's never one thing. It's how these things always work. It's complicated. There is an interesting idea there of like having Meltano. I guess when you run Meltano, auto pulling down the Claude and agents file for new people.
Yeah, it could be even during initialization of a project. You can make it opt out or opt in, but
Yeah.
you by default you get an agent's MD or maybe a Claude MD with instructions like how to operate on that project. Yeah.
Yes.
There is one repo called Everything Cloud Code. It is very
Okay.
good. It has many custom skills, many test approaches, and many things. So I have used in one of our projects recently. So like I find it good. It has many skills now. So
And so to help me understand what that is, like when you run Claude, you say this project's over there, get my general instructions and skills from this sort of side type idea.
it is listed in the marketplace of Cloud Code. So you can just plug it, and every time if you say it like you can go through this, then it will first go through this and then start
Interesting.
just
And is it
accelerate.
managed? Like, is it like, so someone's checking it to make sure it's not full of various code and like, is it like that kind of thing? Is it like quality control?
Yeah, it has quality control because it has many skills, I guess. So that's why it can because everything currently in the cloud is skills mainly nowadays.
Interesting. Definitely have to know more about what people are doing to get things done.
Yeah, there's like these new waves of skills going out now. I don't know if you've seen like, oh gosh, what's one? Gary at Y Combinator, something like that. G Stack, I think he calls it. That one's kind of interesting. There's tons of different skill bundles of things people are pushing out now.
Yeah.
All of this stuff will be 100% different in like a year. Like there's no question. And it's just like, it's obvious there's so much winning to do and we just don't know where. So, I mean, you guys could jump on any part of it. Maybe
Who
you should.
remembers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love using Claude with like running taps and targets now. It's kind of fun. I don't have to do a lot of the silly stuff anymore.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
I mean, yeah, agents and how to pass context to agents will surely change the next year, the coming years. But I think along the way, there's things we can improve that are even not as specific to giving context to agents. Like I think Meltano, when you do Meltano, I mean, it adds a README file to your project, but it doesn't have any like useful things in there. So we could make that more useful for humans and also for agents. So I think take the opportunity to improve things for both humans and agents and give more context to both without like investing completely in one tool, one company, that provides one way of doing things. It's probably the right approach. Yeah. Avoid lock-in is what I was trying to say.
No, they definitely read me update and all the same files that you can opt into feel like a quick win.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on the documentation site as we speak, trying to make it easier for people to get started. There's clearly a AI getting starting point that isn't addressed on the documentation site today. So, I think this goes hand in hand with that. Some pretty cool ideas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I do wonder how many people are like actually landing on like websites now and like reading the docs to know where to start with AI or just starting with the prompts there. Like, could you have like an agent honeypot with all the docs in it if for people that are just starting from?
Don't you know the answer to that from the Stack Overflow questions? Like the lowest levels since they began, but basically no one is asking questions anymore. No one is on websites anymore.
Yeah.
The mode of like doing things, figuring out how to do things has totally changed.
Yeah, I think that the Tailwind folks, they maintain this open source front end library, and they advertise their services through their documentation, and they saw a huge decline in their clients because no one was reading their docs anymore. Yeah, I think it pretty much answers that. I think most people are not reading docs these days. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have to adapt to the new world. Cool. Does anyone have any other comments, questions for Harsh? Or Harsh, is there anything you want, any additional stuff you want to mention?
No, currently, but maybe I have shared things like how we got to know about the Meltano and we built the things.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks a ton for sharing your experience. Yeah, like Greg Rubin said, tap-rest API SDK. It's a long name. It might be a good idea to adopt it at some point, help it move forward. I'm sure there's gaps in there, things that are not supported or are hard to do with it. But yeah, all right. If no one else has any more comments, questions, I think we can jump to the release notes and roadmap right here. I think I can comment on both tap-klaviyo and target-mssql. Klaviyo, we had a user report above with the campaigns stream when they were paginated. The first page of data worked fine. The second page of data, we tried to do something to the URL parameters that mess them up, and the second request to get the second page of data failed with a like bad request error. We fixed that. That's already released. Target-mssql, we have our own variant in Meltano Labs. It supports additionally to the PyMSQL SQL Alchemy driver. We also support ODBC now, which has better performance. I think at least twice as better performance in my measurements. Yeah, I think Ruben, you can say more about tap-jira.
Yes, Jira audit record stream pagination was basically broken, so we fixed pagination. If you were using it before, you were only getting the first 1,000 audit records. So if you were using tap-jira, might want to update to this new version that will allow you to get more. If you've got more than 1,000, there are actually a couple others. I don't know if they were on a different slide. We've got Tap Spreadsheets Anywhere 0.5.1 as well, which fixes a memory issue with loading Azure blobs into memory. And without looking at the slide, I can't quite remember what the other one was. It was utility Power BI.
Yeah.
A new v 0.1.1 out for that. So that's just generally around our investment in like Power BI support and utilities for refreshing Power BI in a pipeline. So watch out for more updates on that soon.
We should probably also mention upstream of these connectors is the Singer SDK. We had a release, I think it was last week, B054, which had a regression on state partitioning keys. So if you were using state partitioning keys in a child stream, for example, to simplify or remove some keys from the child stream's state, the regression was not removing those keys. So you could end up with a massive state file, and yeah, that would probably either use too much storage if you are using something like S3 or Postgres to store your Meltano state. It would like balloon the size of the payloads there. And also because we will pulling that state into the state message, you could have a massive state message that would break how Meltano passes messages from tap to target. So yeah, if you updated your tap to B054, bump it to the latest, which is 0.54.2, which has a fix for that. And as always, we're always updating our plugins in the Metatica organization, the Meltano Labs organization. We're trying to move a few of the plugins that live currently in Metatica to Meltano Labs. So yeah, if you have any bugs or anything related to one of those, create an issue. I personally try to respond and fix them if I have enough context and around that. But yeah, does anyone else have any notes that would like to share from the latest?
Just a question for Derek, actually. Been probably one that I've been meaning to catch up with you about. What do you think in general of the idea, and maybe it's not enough time for today, but in general, getting fewer variants down to one variant that's essentially on the hub? I perceive one of the main pains is if you try and use a connector and it doesn't work, and you're searching around for a variant that does work. It's like a really sort of clumsy way to get to it. So if we were to collapse them all down into one good version of the connectors, there would be a much greater benefit to everyone because it'd be something high quality for everything.
I mean, that sounds great if one existed. If there was a great high quality variant and everyone could agree on what that is, then yes. But I don't think that's not like the reality, at least how I've ever perceived it. That's my only issue with it is having a main variant, I think is great. Yes. That most people can use. I think that's what most people want. But then it's like when you almost always what happens is you go use a variant, some random tap you've never used, you go turn it on, and it kind of works, but then the use case you really need it for isn't quite there. So then it's like, well, how do you find what you're trying to figure out? I mean, I have ideas and stuff for that, but I know pre AI and all of that stuff, what you would do is you'd go look through the other variants to see if anyone's implemented it for you.
Yeah.
And then you kind of look at how long is it going to take me to just build it myself. And then you just either do it or you find someone else who's done it. So I don't know.
Suppose that's the shift I'm imagining. If we could have an agent look at all the variants, functionally make one that's the superset of all of the capabilities and is tested, well, that's sort of more plausible now than it ever was, just because of the scale of the problem.
The only thing I would look out for there is licensing, but yeah.
Yep,
sure.
Licensing is a big one. But and along the idea, let's say you didn't have to think about licensing, which you do. But if we live in if you could filter on them and stuff, there is some really good. I think Edgar, we were talking about this a while years ago. It's like fork. There's some pretty good fork things, right? They go out and search every fork that exists for all of the variants, because there's way more forks that are out there that are actually captured on the hub, and they implement random little things that are sometimes really nice. But sub taps have hundreds of forks.
Google Ads is one of those. I've had to venture into some of the Google Ads forks. I've had to ask the maintainer. I was like, "Can we have the little change that you made, please, back?" Right. Sometimes I've just done it without asking.
Yeah. So then, what do you? And that's kind of interesting, right? It's like, well, LLMs can go out and search through the 100 forks that are already out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, super interesting. I think that's sort of to me, the conceptual, now that the energy is so much lower to achieve that, it becomes something possible. And whether it's desirable or not is still an open question.
Yeah, you can figure out the licensing thing, figure out some kind of method for dealing with it. I mean, there's simple ways, not grabbing certain licenses.
Cool.
I would say this stuff if it's Meltano Labs, I know I'm a bit biased, but if I see Meltano Labs variant, I'm like, this is the one variant that should work, and often in most cases does just work. I'm mostly thinking about the loaders like Target Postgres, Target Snowflake. I would personally not even start looking at the other ones, but I think that there are definitely fewer loaders than there are sources, so that's naturally easier to manage. I think you can say the same for the extractors as well. And I think that's what we're aiming for too, that someone looks at the Meltano variant and can trust that is the one that works out of the box.
Yeah, for sure. For the most common sources, you can do that in Meltano Labs. For anything that a customer on Meltano Cloud needs, we can also do that. But we have to, accept that there will be thousands of sources out there that, we will never implement, and those will leave out there. So they will leave out there outside of Meltano Labs, and we still have to make the users aware of that somehow. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're too niche that we don't even need to do that.
Cool. I see a couple of ideas, Derek. It's great that we're inspiring those. Maybe add it to the next office hours to dig into. I think a couple of minutes. Yeah, this is cool.
Cool. Yeah, we could get into the guts of Meltano and things could do under the hood. At some point. I think we're on time almost. If no one else has anything they want to share, then we can end here. And closing thoughts.
Yeah, thanks Harsh for showing us. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
and thanks Derek for joining. It's been a while. Welcome back.
I'll try to hop in once in a while.
And I see the people watching. Anyone watching, please join and ask your questions. You're all welcome.
See y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was nice seeing you, Derek. Hope you see you.
Good to see that.
More frequently here.
Yeah, I hope so. See you.
Cool. All right. Bye-bye.
See you.